Hi, I'm Marie Eldridge, OLLILife live reporter, kicking off this week's news. Did you know that you are part of the great comeback? Not a personal, financial, political, historical, or athletic comeback, but an OLLI comeback. That was the theme for Tuesday's annual OLLI Spring Luncheon. MC Linda Kelly welcomed more than 100 OLLI members to the Zoom event and reminded everyone what a remarkable year OLLI has had. She praised the dedication, flexibility, and perseverance of the OLLI staff, leadership, volunteers, and members, and the strong support that Furman University provided, all of which helped carry us through the pandemic. One of those dedicated people is Wade Shepard, the OLLI Volunteer of the Year. Wade is a retired Furman IT pro who was key in keeping OLLI online, up and running this past year. So Wade, thank you for your expertise and your commitment. Linda also thanked outgoing President Dave Johnson for helping keep us on track during 2020-2021. And she also welcomed incoming President Bob McGrath. And there were some kudos for outgoing VP of Finance Ron Eldridge for managing the budget and keeping OLLI in good financial footing during COVID. Finally, the spotlight shone on Susan Curtin. Susan is a Latin 3 student, and she won first place in the International Latin exam, competing against 88,000 other students. She earned a gold medal. So way to go, Susan. Did everyone that OLLI's comeback is in the works, and OLLI will be back better than ever. Finally, a shout out to everyone who helped make the second virtual OLLI Spring Luncheon such a success.
Yay.
For our next report, I want to introduce OLLILife live contributor, Shirley Wagner. So Shirley, what's up?
Well, you've all heard my story before, but thank you, Marie. You may recall in March that we introduced a feature called OLLI, a place where friendships grow. I told you about meeting another farm girl from South Dakota. We were both on an OLLI bus trip to a storytelling festival in Jonesboro, Tennessee. The part that is not in the script is that we learned that we grew up 60 miles apart and never met. Once we started talking, we couldn't stop. We even discovered we were alumni of the same college. Christy Johnson and I became friends for life. Today, I'm pleased to reintroduce OLLILife live reporter, BJ Shaw, who also has a special story of friendship. Welcome, BJ.
Thanks, Shirley. When I first joined OLLI after I retired, I was a recent widow and decided to try out the Out and About Singles Special Interest Group. In the fall of 2013, I went to my first meeting and was asked to introduce myself. When I mentioned that I'd gone to college and then lived in Kalamazoo, Michigan, 3 or 4 other people indicated that they too had lived in Kalamazoo at one time. I therefore added what I thought was a unique Kalamazoo footnote that my husband had been in the first graduating class from Loy Norrix High School. One lady in the group added, and I was in the second graduating class. That lady turned out to be Sue Miller. Since then, Sue and I have attended many plays in Greenville and Flat Rock as well as swamp rabbit trail walks together. We even took a Road Scholar trip out west to hike 3 national parks in 2017. And Sue is a Big Ten football fan, as I am.
Thank you, BJ. Are you not through?
Not quite.
Okay.
Assuming the pandemic cooperates, we've got another trip planned to Washington, D.C. in October. No doubt about it, OLLI is a place where friendships grow.
Thanks a bunch, BJ, for adding your own story to our friendship series. I wonder if you'd share a brief description of the Out and About SIG and tell us what they do.
I'd be glad to. The Out and About SIG group is a social group for anyone who happens to be without a significant other for whatever reason. We play games, go to movies, plays, museums, festivals, out to lunch, which is a favorite of many, and anything else that's more fun to do with other people rather than alone. Susan Cooper and Carolyn Rice are the organizers, but everybody participates in suggesting and planning activities. We are all anxiously awaiting to get back to it.
Thanks again, BJ. We're all anxious to get back. Wow, are we anxious to get back? And if anyone else has a story for our friendship series, let us hear from you. At the end of the broadcast, we'll post a link where you can reach us. And now I'd like to introduce our OLLILife live editor, Sue Renault.
Thank you, Shirley. And thanks and hello to the OLLI viewers. It is now time to check in with our wine bloggers, Bernie and Cindy Showman. Bernie and Cindy appeared in our very first OLLILife newsletter and have been popular contributors ever since. Well, what's not to be popular with a wine blog? And today they're going to talk about dessert wines. Cindy, take it away.
We enjoy finishing a nice dinner with a small amount of sweet dessert wine. Dessert wines can be made from grapes that are naturally high in sugar or grapes that are late harvested to achieve maximum sugar. Then the fermentation process is cut short, so all of the sugar is not turned into alcohol. Dessert wine can be made from many different grapes, both white and red. We want to highlight 3 types of dessert wines that we enjoy. They are Moscato, Sauterne, and Port.
Moscato is a white grape that's naturally high in sugar. The wine made from these grapes is aged in stainless steel. It becomes a semi-sweet wine that has aromas and flavors of pears, peaches, and tropical fruit. The alcohol content is low, and it's a pleasant finish to a dinner of poultry or seafood. Terrific Moscato comes from Italy and also from California. Bartonora Moscato is a top seller. It's from Italy. And we bought this bottle at Total Wine for $11.99.
Sauterne is an exceptional dessert wine from Bordeaux, France. Unusual climate conditions cause the Semillon and Sauvignon Blanc grapes to shrivel like raisins, which concentrates the sugars. The fermented wine is then aged in French oak. The sweet wine has flavors of honeysuckle and tropical fruit. Sauterne can be expensive, but you only drink a small amount at a time. Any good wine shop will have a selection of Sauterne. We bought 375 milliliters Chateau St. Vincent 2015 Sauterne for $23 at Wine Express in Simpsonville.
Port is a red wine from Portugal that's been fortified with brandy. The wine is sweet because the fermentation process is kind of short, but the wine has a high alcohol content from the brandy. Typical flavors include raspberry, blackberry, and chocolate. American wineries from New York to California also make a port style wine, and these can also be enjoyable. The wine is typically consumed in small amounts, but you can keep the wine in the refrigerator for weeks and it'll still be good, especially if you pump the air out of the bottle. We currently are liking Dow's late bottle vintage port from Portugal. We bought this in the liquor store at Total Wine. You have to go to a liquor store to buy port because of the high alcohol content. And this costs $25.
We think it's time for dessert.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And cheers to you, Cindy and Bernie. I think it must be dessert time around here, isn't it?
It is.
Thanks. We can't wait to try these. We have another new feature, and it's called OLLI Voices. And we've asked some of our OLLI regulars to reflect upon their lives during the past 14 months of COVID isolation and disruption. Our first OLLI voice is Ann Doyle, and she's going to reflect on fitness. Ann, back to you.
Thanks, Sue. I love to bake. Due to OLLI events and lunches with friends being virtually stopped, and with only 2 of us at home, we would both be the size of barns if we ate everything I baked. What to do? I remembered clearing a path through our woods years ago. My husband and I each had our individual paths, but the route had to change since the view on that side no longer met my artistic and aesthetic standards for communing with nature. Meet rake, pruning shears, and gardening gloves, all of which proved to be my constant companions for several days. My raking and pruning roughly followed the ramblings I had made over the years when tromping through the woods searching for the elusive pink lady slipper flowers. The trail meandered parallel to the road to nearby, down into a small ravine, up the other side, and up the hill. Finally, I met my husband's path. That circuit from the beginning of my path to the end of his and back was roughly a quarter of a mile. Using various combinations and including the perimeter of the yard resulted in a healthy 2-mile hike. My usual hiking pace of around 30 minutes a mile is not notable, since I often pause to listen to the birds or photograph strange mushrooms, leaves, interesting plants, box turtles, deer hoof prints, insect cocoons, snakes, and various discovered specimens. I still have a few pounds to lose, but Mother Nature and I have become fast friends.
Thank you, Ann. You are a trailbreaker indeed. What a wonderful path to fitness you have created. Our next OLLI voice is Vito Fiore. Many of you know Vito as the lively social host at some of our OLLI special activities. In his family, where he wanted to help his daughter maneuver some rough patches of COVID bumps, he's just dad. Vito, tell us how you and your daughter overcame the COVID blahs.
Well, thanks, Sue. Many things impacted me this past COVID year. The worst one was the extra anxiety my daughter was feeling. She's a physical therapist living in Washington, D.C., and that job kept her in constant risk of exposure to COVID and very limited visitation with family and friends. Add to that the protests that were going on, the political unrest, literally right on her doorstep. Her routine was totally disrupted. As a parent, I needed to help her, but didn't know how to, being so far away. Amazingly, the solution found us. As a result of lockdown, a restaurant near her home was shut down its dining, and as a result, tried to bring in some revenue by selling wine and starting a weekly wine class via Zoom. They selected a wine or a grape or a region or even a specific vineyard. They sold a sampling of that wine, and on Sundays, they would have a Zoom class showcasing that wine. They would go over the history of the grape or the region, how the wine was processed. They would talk about tasting profiles. And at times they would even have the vintner online with us, either from France or from Czechoslovakia or from whatever. My daughter and I were 2 of 100 people logged in each Sunday. Not a bad little class. Not only has this class restored some sort of routine, it has taught us much about wines, tasting different wines each week, learning the history of the particular grape, how it's processed, and seeing the passion in the vintners as they spoke about their vineyards. Are we sommeliers yet? No. But the class had a calming impact to the craziness that was going all around us. This past Sunday was class number 50 and is still going on. Salud.
Salud, salud, Vito. Thank you very much. What a great way to build a tasty new routine and hang out with your daughter. Good medicine for COVID health. Thanks, Vito. Our next OLLI voice is Kathleen Allen, and she's learned a few things about herself during COVID. Kathleen, what have you been thinking about?
Well, thanks, Sue. At first glance, pandemic and appreciation seem like total oxymorons, but I think many of us have learned appreciation in this journey along the way. I have found greater patience and appreciation for what life has to offer. Being quarantined for close to 18 months with a significant other, even when that person has played a longitudinal role in your life for 50 years, has not been easy. But I've come to appreciate my husband's talents and kindnesses and patience toward me during this time as never before. We have become better friends through our lockdown together. In the same vein, I have a much greater appreciation for my friends. We have now shared many life experiences, from socially distant walks to Zoom calls, cards, and phone calls. We've kept each other sane and often laughing. What more could you ask of right now? Finally, I appreciate my association with OLLI and the companions with whom I have continued to connect. Greg Peters has kept us all on our toes, encouraging us to photograph everything from tiny flowers with macro to industrial components, which were huge. Zoom classes, encouragement from OLLI staff, and homebound activities to keep us sane have combined to brighten our days. If there is one thing I've come to realize since COVID began, it is that we have much to be thankful for and much to appreciate. Thanks, Sue.
What beautiful sentiments, Kathleen. Thank you. Well said. Appreciation has been a powerful experience in our efforts to find calm in the COVID landscape. And you said it very well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, our outgoing president, David Johnson, has a really cool experience to share with you. David, tell us about your COVID connection with old friends.
Thank you, Sue. Yeah, the year 2020 has been hard, was hard, but the COVID restrictions provided an opportunity to connect with friends from my fraternity. We were all engineering students at WPI in Worcester, Mass. In the 60s and early 70s. So shortly after the March 2020 shutdown, and months before I taught or took my first OLLI Zoom class, I started bi-weekly Zoom calls with about a dozen college friends. We are located across the country in states including California, Connecticut, Maryland, Minnesota, North Carolina, Massachusetts, and South Carolina. We held virtual happy hours to relive old stories and catch up on our families and other friends. We used the share screen function to view pictures taken over the years. On a few calls, we invited the wife and son of a fraternity brother who had passed away 10 years before to remember the good times we had together. On 2 or 3 sessions, we invited a number of the current fraternity actives to join. These 20-year-olds enjoyed hearing stories from 50 years ago about our activities in the same house they are living in now. We enjoyed hearing about how the university has changed and how they were dealing with COVID. We also had some serious conversations as 2 participants developed cancer in 2020, and we're all concerned about their course of treatment. When vaccinations became available, we tracked our progress in getting them, and now all are fully vaccinated. Although we have gone now to once-a-week calls, everyone still looks forward to the virtual get-togethers. The next one will be 5 p.m. today, and we hope to have some in-person activities later this year. Thank you.
Thanks, David, for your story of strength through friendship. What a special group of friends for life. Thanks very much. And thanks again to all who have contributed to our OLLI Voices and all of you who have tuned in to our broadcast. You've inspired us with your stories of fitness, friendship, and family love and appreciation for the special people who walk the COVID path by our sides. We'll wrap up today's broadcast with one of our favorite voices, Nancy Kennedy. Nancy, what would you like us to know?
You know, thanks, Sue. It's so great to be here with everyone. And I've just enjoyed hearing all of these stories. What I would like you to know is how much respect I have for all of our OLLI members who are willing to take OLLI classes in a whole new way. You know, we put it all together and didn't know if it would work or not. I have said that last spring and summer and into the fall, that my work was exhausting and exhilarating all at the same time. And the exhilarating part happened after the first week of fall classes when they all worked and everyone came to class and people wanted to teach. And we really didn't have any more bumps than we have when we're teaching in person. So that was so rewarding to be a part of, and so wonderful to have so many of you all participating in a way that wouldn't even have been an option to us maybe 10 years ago. So that has been one thing I've learned during the pandemic. I think I shared with y'all early on that I also learned I could work at home. I never thought that I thought I'd be too distracted, but I found out that I can do that. So that was a great personal realization. And then, as Marie mentioned, we are looking forward to our great comeback and are so excited. And of course, that brings a whole new round of questions. I had to turn my email off just now so it wouldn't beep while we're filming this, because I'm getting lots of questions from instructors about the fall and this and that and the other. So again, we'll have another busy summer getting ready for our great comeback this fall, and are looking forward to seeing so many people in person when you're ready. And just know that we are also offering virtual options for the fall as well. So there truly will be something for everyone here at OLLI.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you. That's very encouraging. And thank you very much. Thank you, Jessica, for your creative leadership. And thanks to this very special group of volunteers who assembled to create OLLILife Live. What an awesome and talented crew. Scores of writers have contributed to OLLILife this year with scores of hours to bring news, education, and humor to our OLLI members. For today's broadcast, I want to give hats off to Marie Eldridge, to Shirley Wagner, to BJ Shaw, to Bernie and Cindy Showman, Ann Doyle, Kathleen Allen, David Johnson, and Vito Fiore, and student assistant Jessica Justice. We wish a fond welcome to Bob McGrath, coming in as the OLLI president, and an appreciative goodbye to outgoing David Johnson with a heart full of thanks. That's it for OLLILife Live. You can see, I think that we have another screen that we can post to show you where to get in touch with us and drop us a note. We'll see you in September. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for participating.